Today I'm going to be sitting with two different people that have two different and distinct beliefs. One falls within the realism school of thought and one falls within the liberal institutionalist thought. The realism says that the state always acts in the pursuance of power and within their own self-interest, whereas the liberal institutionalist believes that the responsibility falls within the supranational organizations and that they should overcome their differences in order to support collaboration. Hello and welcome to Debate. Today we're discussing the extent to which immigration is a security threat to our nation. Here I have Jason and Johan joining us today. Thank you guys.
Thank you for having me.
Alright, so let's get straight to it. Alright, the first question is immigration a security issue?
I mean, I think it's a security issue, but I think it's also a humanitarian problem, which we have to accept people who are going through crisis in other countries and think about their needs and the political persecution that they're going through.
Jason, what do you have to respond?
I think it's actually a huge security issue because if we don't control who's coming into our country, then we're not able to control that, like criminals and potential people that can hurt our country are actually going to be coming in.
Great, thank you guys. All right, so the second question is, let's discuss the current process of immigration. Is there anything that you guys think needs to change, needs to be improved, or what are your thoughts, generally speaking, on the current process?
I think that the current process in state needs to be improved because I think we should make it harder for people to actually come here illegally, so they actually are forced to do immigration the right way through a background check, and we're actually able to make sure that we have control over who comes into our country.
You know, I think one of the problems we have right now with immigration is that the president is kind of superseding the law, as we see with the caravan. People are applying for political asylum and he's turning them down, and it's actually a state right for every human to be allowed to have a hearing for political asylum, as well to where they can be determined to be placed in the United States if they seek political asylum. And right now they're not even being addressed. That issue's not even being addressed. So we do need to fix our immigration policies.
Jason, I see your face changing. Would you like to respond to that?
I think the issue is actually being addressed because the president, what he's trying to do is just to have more control over what's going on in our nation. He's not interfering on the state's rights.
No, it's not a state right. It's actually the law that when an immigrant applies for political asylum, they have a hearing before a court, and that is not being done right now. And we're not in a state of emergency. The president hasn't declared that, so I don't see why he has the ability and the power to be acting this way, and nothing's being done about it.
So you think that every single immigrant that wants to come in our nation should have a hearing before a judge?
They should have hearing dates, and it doesn't mean that they have to be in the states while the hearing is pending, but the hearings do have to be pending, and that's all we have immigration courts for.
And every single hearing for every single immigrant that wants to come here, is that being paid for by American tax holders?
Yes, it is. That's the law. That's how the legislature decided it to be. I mean, if you don't like, you can vote different people into legislature and get it changed, but unfortunately, that's not what's happening. That's what the law is, and right now, we're acting above the law.
Well, thank you both for speaking onto that, but we actually have one more question. We have so little time, so as much as I would love to continue this discussion, let's get into this last question. So what do you both have to say about the lives of immigrants in our countries and the role that they play?
Well, I think a lot of these immigrants come here, they work hard, and a lot of times that they can't pay taxes because they're scared they're going to be deported. I think once they're integrated into the system, we need to find a way of taxing them and making sure that while they're contributing to society, they don't have to be on the high, they don't have to be running from the government, that they can actually contribute.
I actually agree with you that we should make it so that people don't have to live in that fear. So that's why instead of people coming here illegally, they should do it the right way to come here legally. So then the immigrants in this country that are actually doing a great service to our country, they're able to not live in that fear because they do it the right way.
I agree. Illegal immigration is a problem.
All right, thank you guys very much for joining us. Today we saw the two different perspectives in thought, one realist perspective and one the liberal institutionalist perspective. I think this shows that there's not one clear direction which the state should go, but it kind of shows the two different sides and their strengths and their weaknesses, and just really emphasize the fact that there needs to be a clear and a middle ground developed in order to fully come to an agreement so that this division and this separation does not continue to occur.